This is not a waiver of any kind. It is supplemental and cumulative, not substitutive. It is not intended as humor, entertainment, retaliation, reputational manipulation, repetitive public argument, nor as any modification of the procedural posture established. After my last release, it quickly became apparent to me that the subversive impact of influencers on my life extends far beyond just Kimmy and Jamie, to the point I'm definitely going to do something beyond just suing, even in the more immediate future. Pegasus is extremely suspiciously impartial towards selective internet drama, while having a life blatantly obsessed with internet drama. Nux is extremely suspiciously inclined to sexually deviant behavior, while being a blatant advocate against sexual deviancy. Tectone is extremely suspiciously impartial towards subversive injustice, while blatantly claiming to be an advocate against subversive injustice. I don't see any reason to aggressively hate any of them, but I just get an unsettling vibe from all of them, that a combination of subversive behavior towards me from them empowers Asmongold to ignore me because I won't blindly support any of these guys, which in general actually doesn't bother me nearly as much as specifically Tectone's attitude towards these matters as an individual. I can clearly articulate why I've arrived at this conclusion. Let's first look at a recent More Pegasus video.
Moving on to Asmongold responding to Hassan's breakdown and his fat mentality. Basically, a recap in case you missed the last video, Hassan had a little breakdown talking about how he's completely obsessed with food and he desperately needs weight loss drugs.
I think about food every single second of the day. I think about food. I dream about food. I dream about foods that I haven't consumed yet. I dream about, what kind of food that I would have. And then it makes me sad because I'm like, oh my God, I can't have that food because if I have that food, I'm going to gain weight. It's literally all I think about all the time.
Asmon responded, was laughing his ass off at Hassan, talking about his struggles with food noise. I call them trans fat.
Retrutide, which is what Clavicular has been using, and your boy will be on it. All of the GLP-1 agonists, they melt your fat, they suppress your appetite, they cancel out food noise. And if you've ever been a fatty, if you're a former fatty, if you're a current fatty, you know exactly what that is. It's literally, food noise is a constant thing. I'm always thinking about food. There's not a...
We know, man. We know. Everybody knows.
Single moment of the day where I'm not thinking about food.
When I call them trans fat, it's a state. Being fat is a state of mind. There are people that are 500 pounds that aren't fat, and there's people that are 150 pounds that are fat. It's a state of mind.
Eating food, I'm thinking about my next meal. And this is something that a lot of people don't realize. I think about food every single second of the day. I think about food. I dream about food. I dream about foods that I haven't consumed yet.
Oh my God!
There's not a single moment where food is not in my mind. Not even just in my mind, but top of my mind.
Holy shit, man!
It's in my mind while I'm literally eating food. Okay.
You're thinking about eating more food while you're eating. Oh my God. Gauging time by when he's gonna eat again. It's been 3 foods since yesterday. More like 7 foods since yesterday. Honestly, I bet that sucks. I do. I bet it sucks. I hope he can go on the medication and it'll help him. Oh my God. I sympathize with it. Yeah, I mean, I bet it sucks. I do. I bet it sucks. I mean, everybody has their demons. Jesus. Spiritually fat.
Yep, well, I sort of figured that would be how he responded. So I did actually read the comment section, and we had a lot of mixed responses in the comments. Basically, some people said that this is just him coping and that, you know, he's just stressed and crashing out all the time. So therefore, that leads to him stress eating, and then he like numbs his emotions with it. The eating your emotions is definitely like a very real thing, and that is a possibility. Now, some people were actually mad at me for, you know, being too nice to him and actually believing what he said. And listen, like, I've struggled with food before. Basically, everybody has at one point. I think most people can fix it with some rigid discipline or whatever, but I don't know, maybe this is like an undiscovered, I don't know, mental condition or whatever. I don't know anything about this. I'm not a doctor. I just gave him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this is another case of lying is OP in order to make people feel bad for him and not make any fat jokes. I know like he's like the ultimate victim, but I just thought I'd be on the safe side or whatever. Like he can be a bad guy and also be genuinely suffering, you know? And my hypothesis is maybe this is related to his like terminal psychopathic opinions and behavior, right? Maybe if he actually fixes his mental issues with food, then he will be less crazy, right? Maybe that's what's making him crazy, like the voice in his head telling him to eat every second of every day. So you're telling me right this moment he's thinking about food? When he's jacking it to Asmongold, he's thinking about food? When he's crashing out at Salaptubas, he's thinking about food? Like imagine one day Hassan decides to watch one of these criticism videos, which he basically never will, episodes of the legendary series, and you know, I just put up like a picture of a burger every 5 seconds to give him PTSD. I'm kidding. Okay, I do feel bad for him, all right? Maybe after taking the drugs, he will be less of a psychopath who, you know, wants to murder capitalists or whatever.
I do not agree with Asmongold that being fat is a state of mind. If you're 500 pounds, you are morbidly obese. You are fat. I don't think anyone should ever consider that healthy. I can agree that there is a state of mind as well that you could call being fat, but that doesn't override physically being fat. I don't necessarily see being what many might call fat, whether physically or psychologically, as a bad thing. It really depends on the extreme of it and the person's genuine attitude towards it and how it impacts their life. Especially in modern society, at least for what I like, I feel like a beauty standard of women being what I'd consider unattractively thin is considered ideal, whereas being what I'd consider a healthy and even ideally attractive weight for a woman is considered fat and less attractive in comparison. I don't share Hassan's mentality around food, but I also don't feel particularly compelled to criticize anyone for having it. Even if I'm not always thinking about food, I still believe enjoying eating food you like is one of life's great pleasures you shouldn't feel horrible about, and as long as you don't use it to justify being some extremely unhealthy, massively overweight, morbidly obese slob, it's probably not really a problem. Maybe if you're someone with heavily suppressed issues surrounding a healthy connection to food, or if you have a sexual fixation of some kind with particularly skinny or particularly fat-looking people, you have real incentive to create politics around the topic. Otherwise, if you do so, you're just being mean for the sake of being mean because you basically enjoy bullying people. Either way, it's unhealthy behavior. Unhealthy behavior that Pegasus seems to indulge in. That's actually something I think is one of the very few quite fair criticisms I can make of him. I wouldn't personally take it so far as calling him subhuman for it, though. I believe he's generally quite reasonable about how he goes about it, at least from what I've seen so far. But it's still not something I would really support in general, which perhaps I didn't make as clear as I would have liked previously.
Moving on to Asmongold's life progression. He talks about how he's been making people's life worse his entire life. Asmon outlines his life progression chart.
Asmongold life progression. Making people who I didn't like at school's life worse. And then the second one, 18, who I didn't like in WoW. Life worse, okay? And then this is on online. I didn't like online. Okay? And so there's this, and then we have then we have, this is the current form right now. This is my existence. This is what I am. This is what I do. This is what I've done for my entire life. I'm glad somebody is doing it. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do, and it might as well be me.
Yeah, this is what I like to call being a dedicated hater. I can respect it. I can respect the hustle. I mean, I've been hating my entire life too. You know, people think I'm a psychopath. No, no, no. I'm simply a life enjoyer. And one of the things I enjoy is hating on people. It brings me an inordinate amount of joy to shit on clowns on the internet. Like, people always ask me, how are you so consistent? How have you done this for literally 8 years? Because I wake up excited every day to do this. I did it free for multiple years. I did this shit offline, bro. Before making YouTube videos, I would go on schizo rants to my friends offline, making makeshift YouTube videos. I would just do the same rant, but without a camera, right? I'd be like, oh, look at this fucking idiot. It's my guiding compass, my North Star, my reason for existence. Who do I clown on next, all right? And people cannot understand this, right? They need grand things to feel happy. They need to travel the world, stay in a 5-star hotel, be in a mansion, get their dream home, go on roller coasters, go fucking adrenaline jumping, skydiving, whatever. I need nothing. I'm a simple man. I hate because I am. I'm simply a man dedicated to the legendary series and creating the greatest entertainment known to man or animal or alien. Alien 224, never forget it. Big fan. Absolute cinema.
Asmongold makes his life progression seem sort of crazy or bad on the surface, I assume for rage bait. I don't particularly think there's anything wrong with it. Making people's lives worse isn't inherently something that makes you evil. People that encounter you might have their lives made worse because they genuinely deserve it. I wouldn't call myself an Asmongold fan or supporter, but I feel like I actually can relate in a sense. Because it's probably because of me being authentically myself triggering people and in effect making their lives worse that ended up resulting in them enjoying and benefiting from betraying me and or abandoning me and ending up better off for themselves for doing so. That doesn't mean I was in the wrong or a bad person just because I made their lives worse. I imagine there are many such cases for Asmongold too, where he makes people's lives worse, but they probably deserve it. As for me personally, I wouldn't even say Asmongold necessarily has made my life worse. I feel like he's largely neutral. I wouldn't say his effect is supportive, but I also wouldn't really say it's detrimental to me either. He just kind of exists. Not really very far off from Hassan. The only really obviously political streamer I feel has actually affected my life is Destiny. After everything I've seen now, I feel like the real reason Pegasus doesn't address this podcast actually probably isn't because it's too political or not drama enough for it to be worth covering for him. It's because he can't tell where I stand in relation to Asmongold, or he feels I'm a threat to Asmongold's power over Hassan. Which I guess is kind of unfortunate for me, but at the same time, it's sort of hard to blame him for wanting to have friends and in a sense be loyal to them. Plus, maybe I should take it as a compliment, because maybe it means Pegasus doesn't see me as a clown and therefore he doesn't believe I deserve for him to try to clown on me. I can take more of a firm stance on Nux. Let's look at how Nux started his stream after my last release.
Turn the chaos into law. He recorded thunder war. Yeah, I'm Lord, Nux and all. Every joke a secret door. If you think you've seen it all, my belly's always cry for more. No, from the truth. Hold up, wait a minute, what's that sound? That's me suplexing your career in the ground. Scroll of regrets in my browser tab. Can every bad take to a golden gag? Click they title, yeah, twist that tag. Watch them all running and then leave just glad. I got lore in the comments, myths in the threads. People write essays about stuff that I said. I just sit tea while the drama spreads. Then drop one joke, everybody plays dead. Everyone is always wanting more. Lord from Lord.
Yo, gamers! Yo! How are we? Oh, is there a crazy echo? Hold up. Hold up! We fixed it, baby. That's right. It was that simple. It was but a minor fix, and we're here, baby. When did bro get a Naruto-ass intro? I don't know, but it happened.
Every joke, another door? Sort of sounds to me like BJ News might have actually been referring to something else. I really don't know how exactly it would be related, but it seems likely somehow sexual in nature. I have no plans to go literally sucking anyone off, and I'm not afraid of being exposed for sexual intimacy I'm not even having. Nor for any of the experiences I've had in the past, which were all with cis women. Him specifically starting calling his audience gaymores further implies things of a sexual nature, and more specifically the notion of me engaging with him implying I have or will engage in sexual intimacy with men voluntarily. That's definitely not what I was going for. At the same time, that intro song also mentioned people playing dead, so to me at least it comes together to paint a picture where he's thriving off false narratives in a manner where he's knowingly unapologetically contributing to attempting to portray me as dead and or deserving death for not engaging with him, but simultaneously making me seem like I want and or deserve to have to engage in sexual intimacy with men if I do engage with him. Maybe pushing him further in the future will make sense to me, but seeing he's positioned himself like that right now, it really didn't make sense to me to even consider trying to read into anything he did further or engage with him at all. The context already becomes deeply poisoned in that state. The most firm stance I can take of all between Asmongold, Pegasus, Nux, and Tectone is towards Tectone. Let's look at one of Tectone's recent YouTube videos.
Malena sees these two moving on, being happy, NMP killing it, and you know what she does? Just like every other woman on the planet does? When I moved on for them, their life was supposed to be destroyed, and they're still being successful? I'll hatch my evil plan! I'll drag him back to the court system. Jesus Christ. Can we stop fucking encouraging women to do this shit? It's fucking miserable. Yeah, you know what's crazy? You know what's fucking crazy? All of these stupid fucking women on the internet. And when they're in a relationship with somebody, they never say there's anything wrong. They never say there's anything wrong. Years later, they see them still being successful. Years later, they still see them being happy. Years later, they still see them killing it in all aspects of life while they're sitting there doing nothing, realizing, oh shit, maybe I was the problem. And they say, fuck, I'm miserable and I hate myself. I gotta make him miserable and hate his life. And we just allow this shit. We just allow this shit. And the lawyers win in all of this. Nick and Malena, neither one of them get to win. They don't. They don't get to win. Now NMP will be known as an abuser and a horrible fucking spouse for the rest of his life because LOL, man bad. Not to mention, let's just be completely legitimate. This guy panders to the fucking far left and the leftist agenda. Obviously. I mean, holy shit, Nick. I mean, dude, okay, you tell me, you say you like Hassan every fucking day. Look me in the eyes and tell me that you enjoy the fact that he goes live, shits on America, and says, I think terrorism is based. Go ahead. Go ahead. You won't say that you like him saying that. You won't. You won't. Okay? Go live and tell me that you like the fact where Hassan went live and said that Asmongold was responsible for the murder of his mother. Go ahead. Tell me you like when he said that. You can't. And I know you're riding that fence. Good for you, man. Hey, more viewers. But it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It is. It's bullshit. But I understand all of this is a game to these people. For me, I always have the problem because this to me ain't a game. This to me is just turning on a camera and saying how I fucking feel. That's the problem. Because you can't be real in this industry. You have to be fake to some degree. And dude, you get so behind by actually speaking your mind. Like, let's be completely real. Everybody knows the top 50 female streamers have no talent. Let's be completely honest here. Everybody knows people are going there because they're weird and they actually think that the streamer they're watching is their fucking girlfriend. Let's just fucking say that shit how it is. We all know that's how it is. Anyways, I just wanted to put this out here to just fully express my discontent with how much power women have in this fucking world to be able to ruin somebody's life because they see NMP just trying to fucking get on with it. Malena fucking can't. And now she says, well, instead of me being miserable alone, I sure would love company. God, bro. It's just embarrassing. It's so fucking embarrassing, bro. It is. Like, this is why we need a fucking war or something. Because, like, every day, this gynocentric society gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And women are getting more and more power. I mean, holy fuck. Holy fuck. Women at any point can just go live on the internet, lie, and either completely destroy somebody's life or severely damage it. And it's just fucking cringe. And this is another example. And this one really blew my fucking mind because this bitch is already getting 50% of how much money Nick has, which, by the way, I'm going to lowball this, which on a rainy day is 8 million. Realistically, probably 14 million. Nick has a lot of fucking money. And good for him. And Malena says, well, 50% of that's not good enough. I need 60. Let's waste even more, no exaggeration, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now, what the fuck is Nick gonna do, bro? His mental health is gonna go down the fucking drain again. He's not gonna be able to stream again. And some bitter ass woman is gonna put this man's life on pause again because she's too lazy to get a real fucking job. Good fucking Lord. I hope to God she loses everything. I hope to God she gets 0%. Best case scenario, she deserves 5%. That's it. Holy shit.
This isn't a game to me, Tectone. I'm not fake about anything. Prove me wrong if you're so sure otherwise. Call me out and expose me for whatever I'm supposedly lying about. I'm not afraid of you. And you're not even really effectively presenting any false narrative about me. Meanwhile, you're actively pretending. You're the type to be supportive towards victims of insane things like what I've been through. What's your point in saying the top 50 female streamers have no talent and everyone who watches their streams is weird and thinks the streamer is their girlfriend? Do Kimmy and Celine even count as top 50 female streamers? Even with all the hot tub streamers and whatever? Even if we were to say your argument is I'm trying to ruin their careers, that's stupid. Like, where does that reasoning even go? I guess I really never even had a choice. They're just trash and I hate them and I won't date them. They don't seem to want to date me anyways, and I don't want to just be friends with them or see them as coworkers. So we're enemies, and that's all we ever really were, and that's all we'll ever really be. And if people want to see me as misogynistic or whatever for that, then I really don't care. They could all drop dead, and I really couldn't care less. But in that case, I still also hate everyone else, and I'll never date anyone else either. I don't hate myself, but I'm not going to date myself, in case you even consider that really possible. So I'm just going to have to live knowing that I'm extremely deeply traumatized and will never want to open up to anyone ever again, even just as a friend, and there's absolutely nothing that will ever change that. Because the simple reality is that if I can be hurt like this, and it's somehow my fault for even getting hurt in the first place, then they're the reason it's never going to be even remotely worth it for me to ever even consider any behavior that would ever even remotely result in me truly feeling any extent of real happiness ever again. By that standard, Kimmy and Celine are brutally, permanently, completely ruining my life far beyond repair. Much more than anyone could reasonably say I'm ruining theirs. They'll just get some bad publicity that their audience and platform will ultimately just ignore and forget about after the initial drama, while I'm left with extremely deep, permanent, unhealable wounds that are severely debilitating with no prospects of any real recovery. The most I could do is constantly cry about it on the internet and maybe hope it somehow becomes a problem for them. I suppose I would do that, but that's never really going to make me happy. And without formally filing a lawsuit, I don't even get any financial recovery. For losing a decade of my life, I could have been pouring my time and energy into making so much money in that time. I get nothing good and immense bad. Even with filing a lawsuit, or perhaps regardless, I get hate from their audiences and their friend group's audiences, which is basically just pouring salt on the wound, just to even be able to walk away with some semblance of my dignity still intact after all this. Why do I deserve to die alone and extremely miserable after a life already so brutally unfair and horrible that truly has never had any really redeeming qualities? So some extremely spoiled, entitled, ridiculously overprotected massive sluts on the internet can unapologetically lead on a bunch of losers for a living? And I'm supposed to not hate humanity after seeing such an egregious, absolute beyond stupid thing is seen as not only acceptable but even especially defensible in society, and I'm basically seen as a bad person for even speaking up about it and defending myself? I've never been watching any content creator because I'm seriously under the impression it means we're dating somehow. For the most part, I've never watched any content creator out of even any kind or amount of desire to ever date them. For the most part, I've seen it as either entertainment or politically related research. Only in the case of Kimmy and Celine have I ever seen it as watching someone, even for any real potential to ever date them. And even then, it's potential, not actually dating, potential. That's it. And I've hardly watched Celine at all, and I've never felt like I've had a serious chance with her, so she hardly even really counts for that. It's really just Kimmy. And it's not because I can't talk to women in general either. Even just on Twitch, I've talked to plenty of female streamers in the past, long ago before all this conflict with Kimmy escalated and became so serious. I basically had to just stop talking to anyone else and focus on this to not feel like I'm completely losing my mind. And my life isn't just completely doomed and falling apart with no chance at ever meaningfully recovering or getting any kind of retribution ever. I actually used to be able to be lighthearted and a lot more easygoing in social interactions, whether or not they involved women. Now everything is always just so extremely dark and serious and heavy and miserable. I don't owe it to anyone to date anyone or to pretend to be happy to be single. I never have, and I never will tolerate that changing. I consider anyone claiming otherwise to be subhuman filth. By Tectone standard, I assume I'm just going on the internet and lying when I'm just saying my authentic truth about who I am on this podcast. Yet it seriously has the power to challenge the credibility of, and possibly destroy the life of, anyone who seriously tries to challenge my authenticity. Which makes Tectone feel entitled to try to have a subversive effect on my life, it seems. NMP is a huge notorious fence-sitter by your own words, Tectone. Why are you defending him from a lawsuit he's probably facing precisely for that reason? If I had to guess, his ex is probably so bitter towards him because he was always with some one foot out the door kind of attitude with her, and I imagine it hurt her deeply. I don't even know much of anything about her or have any particular inclination to like her. But the minimal clout gain for the money spent to try to reopen a whole legal thing she probably already expects she isn't going to win. It certainly doesn't seem like a purely petty thing to me. Maybe at least part of the reason for NMP's attitude towards her was genuinely misogynistic. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if it was. Maybe your inclination to defend him on this reveals something about you as something of a notorious fence-sitter yourself. Your fence-sitting on these matters addressed by this podcast actually currently makes you among the largest contributors to attempts to cause my untimely death as a direct result of the very gynocentric society that you claim to be so against. I'm not afraid of any woman going live and just lying and suddenly destroying my life or severely damaging it. The people destroying my life or severely damaging it aren't just women.
Okay.
Yeah, I already see who it is.
The first S,
Yep.
Hassan Abi.
You're retarded.
Okay.
Everyone hated politics.
So you agree with his politics?
Oh, stay with no.
Are you putting him in S? I don't know. That's how I'm going to take. I'm going to Twitter right now.
Hold up, go ahead.
I'm typing
Explain
in
yourself. Explain yourself.
everything.
I want to let you know NMP Lowell is a notorious fence sitter. He's also friends with Hasanabi as a joke. He actually hates this guy, fun fact, but he just won't say it publicly because he's afraid of Hassan coming to his house and shocking his dog. Let's keep going here.
I don't even know what his takes on politics are, but you must believe in all of it.
Hassan's takes on politics are, I really like terrorism. It's very cool.
It's good.
I still think it's fucking ridiculous that Destiny is banned and Hassan is unbanned. Like, bro, all Destiny did to get banned was make a transphobic comment. Like, how in the fuck are we banned for 6 years over that shit? It's absolutely outrageous. And the only reason why Twitch keeps Destiny unbanned is because if he's the only reason they keep him banned is because if they unban him, he's going to take Hassan's audience back over to Twitch on his channel, and it's going to split those two, and then Asmongold's going to take over. Destiny being unbanned on Twitch would be 9/11 for Hassan, because then it would split the left-leaning and far-left viewers to go between two streamers, which would allow Asmongold to fucking obliterate them both at the same time, even harder than he already is. It would be catastrophic for Hassan.
All Destiny did to get banned was make a transphobic comment. No, what Destiny did was seriously, viciously, aggressively, unapologetically discriminate against an entire group of people who the authentic members of already face seriously harmful, subversive impacts from society at large just for being themselves while not trying to hurt anyone. Not a big deal for Tectone because it's trans people. From his perspective, it's fine to just treat every trans person like they're some pedophile in disguise, especially if they're not all attracted to men. I imagine the ban isn't just for the individual instance of behavior. It probably considers the totality of Destiny's positions and behavior. If you look at my original Twitch ban, it was actually stupid. Last I checked, their TOS says they can ban you for off-platform behavior. I can still technically be banned for something that I actually objectively had very good reason to do, and I didn't even do on the platform. In effect, literally just because someone decided I was too mean to people on the platform. Not even for committing crimes. I didn't even actually face legal charges for, and didn't actually break any laws for anything I said towards live streamers. The criminal charges I had on me were for things I said towards scumbags from my past that don't even stream on any platform. I still to this day believe they deserved it. I also believe Destiny knowingly helped them. I really don't find it inappropriate at all that Destiny is banned for a totality of seriously discriminatory and objectively unjustifiable behavior he engaged in on the platform itself. Hassan's credibility is already trashed from all his messed up political positions. When Destiny speaks, his words actually have political weight, and it's not just the vague, basically criminal threat of sending potential future terrorists after you. He's also a large part of the reason Hassan even has the kind of platform he does today. Twitch is a platform so politically irresponsibly moderated that blatant terrorist support is championed, and a maniac like Hassan who prides himself in it seems almost like he's more of the boss of it than the actual CEO of the company. Imagine if someone with actual serious political credibility like Destiny was allowed to thrive on Twitch while being rewarded for trying to destroy my life. That wouldn't really be good for anyone except Destiny. You think Asmongold would be able to destroy him? You're delusional. Destiny would have the opportunity to basically be an undisputed dictator of the entire world, while remaining effectively entirely unchecked through a platform he doesn't even have to own, operate, or contribute any resources to himself directly, while being empowered with infinite potential for financial gain for himself. That certainly doesn't seem like a good thing to me. Seeing how he has weird pedophilia supporting inclinations, you're basically supporting the international domination of unapologetic pedophilia support. At best, we'd have open pedophilia support running Twitch instead of open terrorist support, as if that's any better. I wouldn't say so. It's insane degeneracy either way.
Great. Okay. Hey, to be honest, I got rage baited. He got me to talk about him. Congrats. But I'm just not gonna lie, bro. Like you have to be paid off so much to actually consider Hassan a S-tier streamer. There's no way you can defend that. You can't. Other than, I don't know, that's just the way I feel. I don't know, that's just the way I feel. And I'm sorry, if you have any opinion that's just like, oh, dude, why do you think this? I don't know, that's just how I feel. You're just lying. You are lying, and I know you're lying. I can explain every opinion and why I like everything that I like. Better yet, Chet, ask me why I like something. I can tell you in very specific detail why I like everything. Why do you like Nux? I like Nux Taku because he talks about things that I feel other people are too uncomfortable to talk about. And no matter what he does, he explains everything very clearly, very concisely. His wit is very high. His charisma is absolutely insane. He's also a very good friend. I like knowing the people that I'm watching aren't complete pieces of shit. He genuinely gives a fuck about his community. There's some other things, some shared experience that I have with him off stream that I'll never share publicly that makes me like him even more as a streamer. But he very much is himself unapologetically. I also really like people who have been falsely accused and overcame it. Something about someone being accused of something they didn't do makes me feel a certain sense of camaraderie for them. And I'm more willing to support those people because I know they've shared a similar hardship such as I. So a lot of bonding, a lot of me knowing that he's a good person, a lot of me seeing that he stands on business every fucking time and he doesn't parrot anybody else's opinion. He really does go by the beat of his own drum, so on and so forth.
I can explain everything I like too, but I can also explain everything I dislike. NMP, for example, I stay away from because my experiences have led me to believe his community is a massive trap where there's no real context I can engage with him without just inherently coming off like a massive fraud. Every time my attention is brought to him, it feels so immensely forced, and it feels like it really can't go anywhere good for me to deal with him. So I can agree that he seems like a massive sellout, and that's all the more reason I want nothing to do with him. Tektone's biggest problem with me that I can see is that I'm transgendered, and his argument is basically that he doesn't believe it's authentic. So he believes it's some kind of deal I've made selling my soul? What, because it doesn't make sense to him? Because I'm exclusively attracted to females? Or because he just thinks it's stupid to be trans, as if authentically trans people feel how they do because it's smart? Or what? Telling me that it's irrational to be a lesbian trans woman because it's counterintuitive is pretty similar to telling a gay man it's counterintuitive to be gay because he's more likely to meet straight women that want him as opposed to gay men that want him. Sure, that's probably generally true, but does that suddenly turn a gay man straight? No. At least not if they're actually being authentic about being gay in the first place. If I was attracted to men, I'd have already done sexual things with men many times in my life. Or at least once. Instead, I have not ever done so, and I fully confidently assert that there is absolutely no real evidence otherwise, and anyone claiming otherwise is absolute subhuman filth. My complete lack of sexual experiences with men is not a consequence of me being deprived of opportunities to. Especially when I first became homeless, I quickly learned the shelter system has plenty of homosexual men in it who are eager for intimacy with other men. It certainly didn't seem to matter to many of them if I don't look like a model. Especially even just knowing I am so feminine, I literally have to force myself to use a male voice, and my relaxed voice I normally use when I'm more comfortable sounds female. That seemed to interest or excite some people so much. I'm basically traumatized now, and only have even more reason to actively avoid letting anyone around me who I even suspect of being homeless know really who I am. I imagine it will just make men inclined to try to make sexual advances on me, which isn't something I've ever wanted. If you're going to try to say Nux is better than me or more real than me because he stands on business every time and doesn't parrot anyone else's opinion, then you're just hallucinating. I've been standing on business every time, and I haven't been parroting anyone else's opinion. Nux's response to me calling him out was basically to imply I'm playing dead, and basically just trying to start drama with me while he implies that me engaging with him makes me look like a fraud secretly attracted to men. That's a bad faith presentation that does not present any real arguments or factual basis to discredit me. It instead attempts to rely on clout and feeding off false narratives perpetuated by others in order to discredit me. I'm standing on business right now, Tecton. I've never been avoiding engaging with Nux as some kind of consenting to any extent of supporting any narratives that I've ever wanted or deserved to be treated like I'm dead or have death energy sent towards me, or any kind of support in general for any part of whatever false narratives are trying to keep me so brutally feeling forever stuck in life. I'm not going to start engaging with Nux while he's trying to make me look like a fraud secretly attracted to men if I do. I'm pretty sure me not calling you out is the reason why Nux thinks he can treat me like this, which, to me, perhaps puts your sexuality into question. Which, hey, it's your life. I'm not really interested in your sexuality, and I don't really care what it is. I've certainly never been interested in engaging in any sexual acts with you myself, and I don't hate men who are sexually attracted to other men simply for them possessing that attribute. I just don't relate. I also looked at Destiny's stream following my last release.
Am I an idiot?
I'm just saying the value you are degrading the value of Destiny's pioneering by putting him in dude force.
Where'd you put Destiny?
I put him in like C or something.
All right, we're your opinion.
Okay.
Wow.
The car stone was really good.
I'm sorry. Who was the VTuber this guy was dating again? Time to bring out the Doc Squad. Just kidding, video games. I'm trying to think, when did Forsen start streaming? There's like, I feel like I'm old enough now that you have like the OGs, and then you've got like the second wave and third wave OGs. Because I feel like Forsen was streaming a long, long time ago, but maybe not as early as like me and Soda and Asmongold? Asmongold started around then too, right? Who was streaming on fucking, on, was it Xfire? Am I making that up? There was another site that some streamers came from early on. Oh, Forsen started at Hearthstone? Oh, that's hella new. That's pacifier tier. Hearthstone. Digital card games? Digital card games? A very quick, like, a quick macro question, I guess. Before we get into anything, do you guys both consider yourselves today like libertarians? Is that like a label that you kind of proudly identify with? Do you feel like you fight with a lot of people over what that means? Do you have an issue with conservatives that use that label a lot? How do you feel about that label in general?
I mean, yeah, I consider myself a libertarian. I come at it from the sort of intellectual tradition perspective, right? There are a lot of like populist libertarians, people who don't really care about the ideas, but are just into it for like the vibes. And that seems to be basically like a lot of them are like more conservatives, but they like drugs and they seem kind of, like Dave Smith types. So no, I'm not like a Dave Smith libertarian. I'm more like a libertarian in the traditions of like David Bowes and Ludwig von Mises and those guys.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, look, the libertarian label is the best available one for people who don't give a shit what you're doing with your life. As long as you leave me alone, I'm happy to let you live your life and do your thing however you want. And there's some people who pretend to have that attitude on some issues, and then on immigration, that they don't have it, or whatever their exceptions are. But we're pretty much across the board. Whatever you want to do, we don't care. I don't care how weird it is. It's your life. You live it.
One of the things that drives me crazy, I blame alternative media for this. As a member of the alternative media, I accept full responsibility. But one of the things that I hate about the current media environment we live in is because so much dumb stuff gets said. There's a lot of, I think, really good conversations that could happen about topics where you can legitimately be on either side of it, but you don't ever get to have those conversations because the conversations are completely held hostage by the most idiotic positions possible. And immigration is really interesting to me for a lot of reasons.
Look, all of the sophisticated arguments, there are lots of sophisticated arguments about immigration. I mean, those aren't the ones that win the day. I mean, it's literally, if they're consuming any public benefits at all, then therefore we should engage in mass deportation and close the borders. If any kid of an immigrant goes to school, then that means that we should have closed borders. If they are working at all, that means they took a job from someone, and therefore that means that we should close the borders. If there's any crime at all, we have to close the borders. Obviously, these are standards intended to result in only one conclusion. And so, we don't have to get into the sophisticated stuff because that's not actually what moves policy. It's these nonsense arguments that obviously assume the conclusion that you can't allow any more people into the country or you're only going to end up with more problems. And I think what makes us different and what we're focused on is, look, people aren't just problems. They're also solutions to problems. They're a solution to our aging population. They're a solution to poverty. Ultimately, more people producing more things of value makes our entire economy more prosperous. So, I just think, people have set up standards intended to produce one result.
He's straight up saying more incoherent things now, seemingly at some strange convenience to him. Xfire was a really old chatting app for gamers that was shut down a long time ago. You could never live stream video on it. And Hearthstone is literally a video game with no built-in live streaming capabilities either. The only streaming site I've ever heard of that people came to Twitch from was Justin.tv, and I can't imagine Destiny just forgot that. So I guess he's just exposing himself as a fraud with his whole, am I making that up? Performativeness. I don't believe for a second that he just forgot his streamer roots like that. He decided to bring some different libertarian people on. I don't care what they want to define it as. I don't associate with that label. I never have, and I doubt I ever will. I am a permanent chief of the Shadow Confederation. Anyone can say they're a libertarian, and who really cares? Some random politically obsessed, unsophisticated loser? But if you're claiming you're any rank in the Shadow Confederation, then that gives you any extent of power over me. Yet I'm not explicitly saying that at all, and you won't explicitly, directly challenge me with substantive evidence to even really seriously begin to prove it. You're obviously a complete fraud and a clown, and nobody should take anything you say seriously. Again, I don't see anyone doing that. I don't see anyone even really trying. Seems Destiny is pretty hung up on immigration policies. Maybe he's trying to make me look like a fraud and trying to act like I'm a libertarian or something because of me supposedly caring about immigration. To be honest, I couldn't care less. I have no real reason to want to go to the US ever again if I'm not dating Kimmy or Celine anyways. I'm somehow being forceful and creepy when I'm literally just having good intentions. I'm practically being forced into a spot where I keep getting treated absolutely horrendously, yet am framed as somehow subhuman filth if I don't still care and only end up even more hurt for being decent and fair. It's extremely exhausting and extremely unrewarding, and I've tolerated it for far too long. I'm done. I'll just hate them and hate everyone else, and never date anyone publicly or privately or just at all in any capacity, to any extent, in any context. I'll just live my life knowing it was never going to end up any other way. At least then, every waking moment doesn't feel like an utterly futile, uphill battle. I also looked at Kimmy's stream following my last release.
I don't know if it's because I'm getting older now, but harder for me to switch between different things in my life. When I was in my 20s, I could make a YouTube video, I could travel, I could stream and post all in one day, you know? I wouldn't say my mental health was good, but now that I'm a bit older, I'm the type of person who would rather focus on one thing at a time and do it well, instead of trying to do like 10 things a day. So, when I'm focused on a project, I literally cannot think of anything other than that project. And I guess I'm lucky because ASMR is the one thing that comes a bit more naturally to me. However, making videos does not come as naturally to me. Like doing ASMR and making a video, those are two completely different skill sets. Oh yes, I do have those Chinese ear picks. I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but
I can believe that making ASMR in general, in the sense of Kimmy just making noises into a microphone to hear for herself purely for her personal enjoyment, is a very different skill set than making ASMR video content, whether it's live streamed or for a YouTube video. But I feel like she's saying it's a different skill set to make ASMR in a streaming context versus to make a YouTube video. And I'd say that's a lie. Perhaps the experience isn't exactly the same, because obviously one is live and one isn't, but I certainly wouldn't say simply the difference that she doesn't get the exact same kind of adrenaline rush and the live chat for feedback qualifies as it needing a whole different skill set. It seems to me that Kimmy has been trying to come up with some massive false narrative she was hoping to always keep completely behind the scenes, entirely to my detriment, entirely against my consent. Were her simply making more or less the same exact kind of content and simply targeted at different online social media platforms would be something she could attempt to credibly present to others as requiring vastly different skill sets, while in reality herself knowing they don't at all, in order to force me to have to employ multiple vastly different skill sets and not be even remotely adequately recognized for it. And she just hoped by trying to wear me down with age, she could achieve robbing me of my soul through that platform hopping type behavior. I also recently decided to check to see if Jamie streamed recently, and I learned she actually had streamed only a couple days before my last release. And there are several things I could mention about it.
Who do you think would win an arm wrestle, you or Valkyrie? You know what? I feel like she would out squat me, but I might win the arm wrestle. I might be able to win the arm wrestle, but I think she could definitely like you know, like I feel like it's different. Like our bodies are really different, so I'm not sure. I'm not really sure.
This is now multiple times recently that I've seen the topic of some kind of physical competition brought up between Jamie and Valkyrie. I've never particularly cared for comparing their physical capabilities with each other, or with me, or with anyone, really.
I think my phone's dying on me, but I want to get the new iPhone 16 whenever it comes out. So sorry, 18. So
This is now also multiple times Jamie's mentioned desire to get a new iPhone. I've always considered the kind and/or amount of phones Jamie has to be irrelevant to my position.
the energy has been heavy lately. It's because I'm depressed. When I'm depressed, the energy's bad. That's why, like, everyone's goal should be to make me happy. Because if I'm happy, then everyone else is happy. Okay?
That's really crazy. I'm clearly extremely deeply unhappy, and It seems the closest I've ever possibly been to happy in my life. Jamie is basically suicidal, and yet she's out here saying everyone's goal should be to make her happy because if she's happy, everyone's happy. So it seems she's in reality known all along how she's essentially made her happiness dependent on me being deeply unhappy. Because I know for absolutely certain that she's utterly lying, fully knowingly, and with the utmost malice, if she's even trying to suggest that I somehow would be happy if things went back to a state where I was being silenced and suppressed so aggressively I couldn't even speak out publicly about how horribly I was being treated, or it would harm my life even more. Or even if things simply stayed as they are, where I'm constantly, extensively, clearly communicating my perspective and articulating my position plenty adequately, yet not getting any real results that meaningfully mitigate further perpetuation of harm through essentially the exact same fundamental mechanisms. I'm just going to say it outright. I don't care anymore. I'm quite convinced at this point that Jamie has been lying egregiously that I had sex with her when she was 17. And she's been trying to destroy my life by trying to frame me as a pedophile behind the scenes ever since. I have never engaged in any sexual behavior with or towards Jamie. I've never even been alone with Jamie, and I've never even wanted to be either. Anyone who has ever claimed otherwise is absolute subhuman filth and has absolutely no real evidence to substantiate their claims. I've only ever met her once, never even been alone with her, and never been sexually involved at all with her. I've never seen her as my girlfriend. I've never dated her. I've never consented to anyone at all presenting me as dating her. I've never even been interested in dating her at all, nor have I ever even made any sexual advances on her, to any extent, even just online. If anything, she's tried flirting with me both in real life and online, and I made it obvious I was uncomfortable and uninterested and promptly distanced myself from her. I've never consented to anyone claiming I've ever engaged in any sexually inappropriate behavior of any kind with or towards anyone.
Aren't most Asians more susceptible to depression? I think so too. And like, okay guys, this is something that I'll talk on stream about, but like that I have a problem with. I think the Asian community is really hard on each other too. Like, I feel like a lot of, like, it's so hard for Asians to like fully support other Asians because like there's just this toxic like mantra that it's like a competition and stuff. And I was like, yeah, we need to be better. Like, I look at all these like big Asian like content creators and like it really do be your own people that like hate, and I'm like, damn, it's like crazy. Like, I'm like, we have to be more like, people have to be more, not you guys, obviously you guys are cool, but people have to be more like sympathetic and less like competitive and jealous, because like as Asians, like we lack representation already. Like, we need to help each other. So if you see someone Asian who's doing well, like, we gotta support. We need to support. But low-key, like, that's why I don't really like cook as much Asian food, except for Southeast Asian food. Like, I won't really cook a lot of like Korean food or like just like I cook. Well, it's because I like other cuisines too. But at the same time, like, the hate comments are bad. Really, it's similar to Mexican culture. I don't know. It's really bad in Asian culture. Like, people just cannot be happy for each other. It's like crazy. So when I find like another woman who was like truly happy for other Asian women, like, I'm like, damn, or just like women who are happy for other women, like, that's, you gotta hold on to that. So a lot of my friends, like, it took me a long time to get there, but like, you know, a lot of my close friends, like, we want women to succeed, like the bigger picture, every woman, like, you know, we want people to succeed. So yeah, I'm like, we have to support each other. And we think it's a competition because of how we're raised, but it's not. Like, everyone is so different and everyone is meant to do their own thing, and like, we have to like help each other.
Sounds to me like Jamie's certainly inclined to abusing some perception of me being spiritually Korean. Like the thing I mentioned from the clip from Kimmy's stream that I included in my last release. To act like that is reason why it supposedly makes sense to believe I'm being maliciously especially vicious or competitive in how I treat Kimmy and Celine when I express affection towards them, rather than simply out of sincere feelings and just not being a pushover, coward, or fraud. And her throwing in the race stuff with gender stuff too makes it increasingly messy. So I guess Jamie justifies disrespecting my gender identity because she frames it as her being supportive and happy for other women. And then she uses that to pretend she wants people in general, presumably including me, to succeed in life. She definitely does not come off to me like she wants me to succeed in life. And she certainly isn't trying to offer me any kind of success I'd actually want if she's trying to force it on me through trying to force me to deny my own authentic gender identity or make me need to practically beg her for validation for it or even any kind of help in general.
And be your own people that drag you down. Okay, before we fry these fish, you know, to my haters, I have bigger fish to fry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll go kill myself.
The evidence demonstrates a pattern of Jamie utilizing cooking to engage in serious deception, that those she somehow attempts to present as her haters are not as serious of a problem for her as she attempts to present them as being, as well as to passive-aggressively mask coercive and subversive guilt-tripping and general emotional manipulation attempts she makes towards them.
I feel really good today, so maybe my mental health is better right now. Like, I hadn't felt like, well, I don't know if it's the meds, but like maybe like 4 days ago or 3 days ago, I finally felt grateful again, and I felt really grateful again. And it made me realize, like, when you're depressed, it's really hard to be grateful. Like, you want to be grateful, but it's hard. Like, you can't. And I'm really smart. So, and also my EQ is high. So I think that's how I got so far, like, even with depression, because I knew, I knew I was, like, I had a support system. I knew I was, like, loved. I knew, like, I had something that was good to work for. Like, I knew all these things. So for me, it didn't make sense to be sad. And then I realized, like, oh, I can't really change, like, my brain chemistry, I guess, or how I see things. Yeah. So, we'll see.
I really have no idea what happened around that time that supposedly made Jamie feel grateful again. Whatever it is, if it at all contradicts my explicitly stated position on this podcast, I want it abundantly evident I have never and will never consent to it happening. I myself most certainly did not experience anything recently or anywhere even remotely around that time that at all made me feel like that. In fact, I only more seriously feel the opposite every passing day, that I continue to have the reality of these matters addressed by this podcast effectively neglected truly adequate recognition.